come and say something. Say good morning to Nuchem. Yeah,
good morning, Nuchem.
Good.
Enjoy the
Where's
sun.
Nuchem? Oh man, Yeshiva week. For the moderns.
All right.
But they're my type. You didn't know from that reading that kids Yeshiva week, huh?
That's big winter.
Where's the copies?
Cold and icy. I mean, you know,
It's a good.
I don't know because they just basically drove down slowly like that black guy. But they just there. Maybe Catherine stopped them on the back and walked in.
Nothing like slime with a wheel.
This newfangled technology.
You figured it out.
Every morning
It is cold.
You're filling in for them. He's away.
It's not filling in. We're going back to
Where do you want me? Where do you want to sit?
Anyway, here's fine.
So I'll sit here. Yeah. So I guess we'll get in touch with you. What's your first name? I only know his real father. What? Yanki. Where's that? Off Lane. Becca. Never did that person. Undifferentiated without portfolio? What are you affiliated with? Or your bill? Oh yeah, you mentioned when your son's born. What's your father's name? Your father's name? What's your medical? He's Louis? Where is he? Okay. Where's your big one? Next door to Kestir. Malka. Kowski. I trained her for a long time. My brother-in-law is a long-standing orthopedic surgeon in Miami Beach. And he was her orthopedist. She was in Florida a lot. He was so angry. He said she had a really tough hip. He said, "Don't raise her." That was the big thing. He was so courageous over there in Florida. I never understood how they sit back with them and Chinchkins, because Chinchkins took over the first.
You get to sit on Nuchem's chairs.
Chinchkins, there was a connection. They took over the building and now full of they parasitic.
I was joking.
I don't need it. I'll put this here. I'll put it we have it in front of me.
But they took over the team.
30 years ago, Chinchkins.
So what's your first name?
Is this
surrounded by the Alter Rebbe. It's not saying we're surrounded as for us.
Okay, but let's first put it
By the
into
Alter Rebbe means if I care for me, surrounded because my me. Not really. She's not.
rooted.
Rooted.
So all the mites are high, no? It's not like you compare a person to a tree.
No. Not this way.
Okay, good morning everybody. Bruchim Abayim, welcome. Welcome. Alles beseder, Reb Shlomo? We're up to page Hey in the Maimah V'Yadaita. We started to speak about the Der Haflaga. Haflaga comes from the word plukta. It's similar to the word plukta, which means partition, separation. The concept of machlaikas, which is from the word lechalek, to split or to divide. And the key issue of the Der Haflaga was the separation, Haflaga. Separation between what we call Shem Havaya and Shem Elikim. And the separation stems from the idea, which is that Shem Elikim is really master, is a true. It's not a perceived Hester. It's a real Hester. It's an authentic concealment. It truly eclipses Havaya. It's not just, it appears to be a concealment. It's a process. One has to be able to dig and excavate and see the depth of Elikim. No. Haflaga means there's a real separation. It's two, not only different realms, but opposite realms. Which is the antithesis of what Moshe Rabbeinu says, V'yadaita hayayim v'shavaysa levavecha, ki Hashem hu ha'elikim. That's what we're explaining. So let's see inside. The line starts on page 9, middle of the page. I don't know, like 10 or 12 lines from the top. It's the antithesis of the unity, the unification between Havaya and Elikim, which represents the idea that nothing, Ein Shum Davar Master Klal. There's no real Hester. Nothing is ever truly concealing and blocking the ultimate connection. Kiyim aderab, on the contrary. Kol ha'asteirim ein b'shvil hagilui. Every single Hester, every single concealment is only there for the sake of a relationship, of revelation. To be able to transport the light even to the lowest places. And thus there are filters and there are screens, and the light is obscured and channeled and tzumtzum and restricted, etc. And cloaked and manifested and enclosed, all in order to bring the oil, not to keep it, not to hold it back. And that's the whole objective of all the concealments, to reveal the oil. So not only is it not a Hester, you'll say, okay, it's not a Hester, but it's not a Gilui. You'll say, maybe somehow you can ignore the Hester. It's more than that. The Hester itself, in Yonai, its true mahus, its true objective is Gilui. Not just, okay, ignore it, overlook it, surpass it, we won't take it so serious. The Hester itself, Ein Shum Hester Klal, means that the Hester itself, its true essence, even though it's perceived as a concealment, and that's what its job is Elikim, is to conceal Hateva. We said Elikim is Hateva. But nonetheless, the whole function is to be Megala. We cannot, the commotion is Boil El Ba'irach. And as explained above at length, the marshal in our metaphor. The Ashpas Harav Talmud, of the communication, the teaching of the mentor to the student. Shekol Atzimtzum. V'halbashas b'mishalim zadim v'inyanim sheinim hakoilu b'chdei lavai gilui hakoilu b'chdei lavai gilui oira seichel arav el talmud. All the restrictions, all the concealments, all of the teachers taking this profound idea and only allowing a trickle of it, an external ray of it, to be communicated to the student, and furthermore, dressing it up. And here he says, "B'mashalim zarim," in alien parables. Alien parables means alien to the idea itself. If the student is not a true student, he could take the mashal and go on a trip with it, because it doesn't it immediately reflect the idea. On the contrary, a mashal transports it to something that's a completely different subject. It's like, let me tell you a story, let's discuss something else. It's a mashal zar, v'inyanim shaynim, and different ideas that are separate from the points. It's all because he wants to give, not because he wants to hold back. He wants to bring the oir, he wants to bring the seichel, he wants to communicate the ideas into the world of the student. And not only to give him a little bit, he wants to give him everything. He wants to allow him to ultimately reach the depth, the full depth of the wisdom of the Rebbe, the way it is in his own mind, pre-tzimtzum. But there's only one way he can do it. Through channeling it, through all of these mediums and venues. Ultimately, it gives him the information that, if unraveled, after some time, maybe 40 years, as the Gemara says, that he will be able to reach the Oymek Chachmas Harav. So not only is the Hester not something to take seriously as a Hester, because you can overlook it, the Hester itself really is Gilui. It's the way of communicating the light of the teacher to the student in his realm, and not only in his realm, but ultimately gives him the ability to reach the teacher's realm by unraveling and exposing and excavating all the depth that is compressed and concealed and contained here, to be able to access the ultimate truth of what the teacher had in mind. And it's only through the Hester. So therefore, and this was all a mashal for the way it is in terms of the entire universe and the entire cosmos, all of reality, and the relationship between Yud Kei Vav Kei and Elikim, as explained above, exactly the same concept, that Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is absolute infinity, absolute undefined and indivisible, could never be experienced within the capacity of creation, which is based on identity and finiteness. Hence, Havaya is filtered through Elikim. And all the concealments that exist in the universe are all processes that are imposed mitzad Elikim in order to channel Havaya. And yet, the Dor HaFlaga sees it as two separate realms. And therefore, Elikim is a true Hester on Havaya. The emesis Ein Shum Davar Master Klal. There's absolutely no Hester, even if it feels that way, even if it's perceived that way, even if it's experienced as a Hester, because that's what Elikim does. Essentially, Elikim is there to be Megala, to bring forth Havaya within all of the universes, each world and each created being according to its capacity. And furthermore, within the mashal, you have the entire nimshal, even if it's initially eclipsed, which allows you to come from the mashal to the nimshal from Elikim to Havaya. And therefore, b'meila, so therefore, one must never get stuck in the concealment. One must never get stuck in the outer perception of things. When you separate Havaya and Elikim, then what happens is the concealment itself becomes that which you fall into. It becomes a trap. In other words, the chitzonius, the most external element of the world, is what defines a person's attitude, a person's perspective. When a person understands the yichud Havaya Elikim, so b'meila, the oira leki, which comes through to levushim, hua iker, ve'elavi yadavu kumayuchad. And that is what person connects to. B'kiyum ha'torah v'hamitzvahs. Through Torah and mitzvahs. Ve'ein shum davar ha'meineu ma'akavos elikos. And therefore there's nothing in the world, and nothing in life, and nothing in his experience, which will prevent him, and will stop him from a relationship with Elikos. Why? Because Havaya hu Elikim. So therefore, in every moment of Elikim, he will always search and find the Gilui that's coming through the Hester. And what happens when the concealments stand up against the person to prevent him from a relationship with Hashem, from Torah and mitzvahs? Yamid bin Nisayan connected them. That's one of the manifestations of a Nisayan. He stands up with a Nisayan. He stands up to the test against them. Not to allow it to become a preventer and an opposition, which allows the person to reach a far deeper oir, breaking through the husk of the Nisayan and revealing the Yutke Vavke, which is Hu Elikim. The concept of haflaga, which means separation, is the exact antithesis of this. The clue by the Dor HaFlaga, what it says is, they said to each other that the world is one, we may be scattered, let's build a city and a tower. And the three words they used is, let us make a name for ourselves. So Medrash Rabbi in Parshas Noach, chapter 38, Zog the Medrash Tani Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel learned, Ein shame ela avodah zara. V'nasa lanu shame doesn't only mean let's make for ourselves a name, let's gain a reputation, let's become immortalized through our structures. He says shame is associated, it represents avodah zara, idolatry. Ein shame ela avodah zara. The cheter haflaga yechet avodah zara. Essentially, he equates the sin of Dor HaFlaga with the sin of avodah zara. What's the connection? The explanation is as follows. The Hinen is Bar Leel, we explained, the Mei Etzem Shem Havaya Kamoishahu, Lo Haya Efsha Liyas Metzias Hayesh Mamash. From Shem Havaya, the way it is in its core, its pristine essence, there could have never emerged a Metzias of a Yesh. Metzias of a Yesh means a reality of the identity and the ego of something that feels itself as a Yesh Mamish, as truly existing as a separate entity. Because if the light of Shem Havaya would be manifest, the worlds, the way we know them, could not be intact and receive it. V'hainu, shelo haya metzias yesh mugbal. There could never emerge from this oir a metzias, a reality of a yesh, of a sense of egotism that's also finite. The kaniska lel b'mashal, back to the mashal, lashbas haseichel, the mashal of teaching. Shimoya Rav megal etzem sichlik amershu lo haya mekabel yachal mekabel. If the Rav would give everything he knows, the core of his ideas, the way it is, in its pristine essence, undiluted, no mitigations, no compromises, no restrictions, nothing obscured, what would happen? The chushim are the intellectual faculties of the Talmud would be completely confused. He would be shut down. In other words, his kalim would be overwhelmed, and they would just be in his battle. Kiyadua, as is known. Bittul HaKelim means when something reaches a person, and the expression would be it's beyond his kalim. You'll say it's higher than his kalim. His kalim can't take it. What does it mean? It means that the structure of his mind, his psyche, is one that can't contain it. Because it can't contain it, so the result is bittul HaKelim. The kalim just shut down. They can't access it. They can't deal with it. So if the Rav would reveal everything the way it is in him to this child, to the student, who's completely in a different league in terms of knowledge and perception and scholarship and understanding, so then the chushe ha-makabel, the intellectual faculties of the makabel, would not be able to remain intact and receive it. You have to know who you're speaking to, and therefore would be confused. A power surge, yes. A power surge, and then the thing can't, there's no kalim for it. So this is a mashal. If the etzem of Shem Havaya, in its core, would be manifest, you can have everything existing, but nothing would experience itself as a Metzias Yesh, as its own distinct, autonomous, separate identity, with its finite parameters and perceptions. Why? Because it would be reflecting the consciousness of Havaya, which is Bligvul infinity. This is the language of the Arizal in the beginning of a Sefer Eitz Chaim, Tree of Life. The Mitchila, Kishaya Oir Elyon Poshet Mamalias Hametzias, Loyhaya Makam Lamidas Ha'olamas. His language is in the beginning. The beginning means initially, before creation, before there was even a before. When Oir Elyon Poshet, the higher light, which is Poshet. Poshet here doesn't mean simple as simple, like not a big deal. Poshet here means from the word mufshet, divested from any description or category. Poshet from the term mufshet, undefined. Mamalias hametzias, filled reality. Metzias here means reality. There was no space for the standing, for the existing of any worlds. It's known what's pshat v'loyhaya makim lamidas ha'olamas ritzayne loymar shaloyhaya efshel liyos metzias ha'olamas mehagilu yoreli pashat kamashu. Loyhaya makim doesn't only mean in the place of this cup I can't put something else because the cup is already occupying it. Loyhaya makim means, like, if I'm sitting on my chair, you can't sit on my chair. I can't sit on your chair. Somebody's occupying this room fully, so nothing else could be in this room. That's makom in terms of physical space. If Eir Ein Sof is, so to speak, everywhere, it's limitless, it's infinite, it's Ein Sof. So of course there's no place for Oilamus. Where are you going to put Oilamus? It's already filled with Ein Sof. But Loyhaya makom here means deeper than that. Makom in terms, as he puts it, Loyhaya efsheli is Metzias Ha'olamas. Loyhaya makom means there was no makom for it. The concept was not shayach. I told you, Lamashal, in yeshivish language, somebody will say a svara, and you'll say this svara has no place. In the Lashon and Achronim a lot. Svara zu ein la makom. This logic has no place. What do you mean it has no place? It has to sit somewhere. A svara doesn't have to sit anywhere. An idea doesn't have physical space. Where do ideas exist? Where do ideas exist? In books? They exist where? In your mind and before my mind? Where does the svara hamaitzi mechaveri all of our ayah exist? That's common svara in Gemara. That proof, if somebody wants to take out money from his friend, he has to bring proof. The proof is on the person who wants to change the status quo. If I'm wearing a jacket, you come and you say, no, it's my jacket, you took it from me, bring proof, and then you can take it. You want to change the status quo. That's a svara, there's a logic to it. We can all understand the logic. Where does that logic exist? It exists in my brain, but it existed also before my brain was formed. The truth is, it does exist in a place. It exists in the place of seichel, which is not a physical space. It's the realm called intellect. When you say, this svara has no makom, what does it mean? The svara has no place to exist because it's foolish. Somebody will say, this is a ridiculous idea. It has no makom. What do you mean? It doesn't exist anywhere. It's a delusion. It's foolish. You'll argue today that the earth is flat. You can argue, but there's no makom today. There used to be a makom. There was an argument if the earth is flat or the earth is round. There was once an ambassador of Israel to the UN. His name was Abba Ibn. So he once said that if Israel would say that the sun rises, it's a Muslim, so if Israel would say the sun rises from the east, the UN would say, no, it rises from the west. There's certain times things have a makom, something that just doesn't have a makom. So that's what Arizal says. There was no makom for it. The concept of Oilimus couldn't not only not exist, it couldn't even be appreciated, couldn't be understood. Today it's the opposite. Today, post-Tzimtzum, Oilimus is b'pshitas. Elikus is a chiddush. The fact that Oilimus exists, that's reality. Nobody doubts a normal, healthy person, or healthy animal, a healthy creature, doubts their own existence. The fact that I exist, that's a given. Elikus, it's a chiddush. What is it? When is it? Why is it? I can't relate to it. Could I relate to it? Where? What? When? Why? What does it mean? What doesn't it mean? Pre-Tzimtzum, that what the Arizal is describing, was the exact opposite. If somebody will say the word I, what are you talking about? What's I? What is it? What do you mean? What don't you mean? What's your problem? What are you suffering? What are you taking? What are you not taking? Today, if somebody talks too much about God, you want to know what they're taking, right? Before Tzimtzum is the other way. So Oilimus is b'pshitis now. Elikus is a chiddush. In the beginning, lo haya makom, lo haya efshalius mitzias Oilimus. Why? Me'agilu alien parshat k'marshu. From the alien, if it could do whatever it wants. But the Oilimus, the way we know it, where there's a mitzias of a yash, it can't exist in that form when it's experiencing the consciousness of infinity. Kiyim aydei shem elikim dafka. And thus, there had to be Shem Elikim. Kumashakasuv Bereshis Bara Elikim. Hainu Shem Havaya de Shem Elikim. It's not just Shem Elikim. Shem Elikim means Havaya channeled through Elikim. Shumidus Hatzimtzum Vahester. Shematzamtzum Esar de Shem Havaya. Umal Bishasar Bekamal Levushim Achiyis Havas Mitzias Hayesh. Elikim represents the midah of restriction and concealment. Restricting, channeling, obscuring the light of Havaya. Dressing it up in many, many garments until the yesh can emerge from it. Now there could be a finite identity that feels its I. Independently of Hashem, it perceives itself as a separate identity that is detached. How could this be? Its whole existence is from Shem Havaya because it's channeled through so many levushim, through so many garments, through so many tzimtzumim, that the Ur can create a nivra with the kalim, with those particular vessels, with that capacity, with that identity that allows for a yesh. Imagine if the teacher was not teaching a student. The teacher was creating a student through the information. It's a type of information that creates what type of student? The student with these types of kalim. This is what the Medrash says. The There is no blade of grass down here in the world that doesn't have a mazel above it, which strikes it, which hits it and says, grow, grow, grow. In other words, when you're looking at the blade of grass and you're studying it, what do you see? So there's the most external perspective is, it's just growing. To be Shvat, Rosh Hashanah Lehilanis, it's preparing in the stage of hibernation now for a new season of growth and vitality and vibrancy. If you go a little deeper and you study the processes of bushes, of shrubs, of trees, of plants, of grass, one could identify the inner workings of it. It's not simple exactly how grass grows from the earth. It's a mind-boggling phenomenon. Any tree, you take a seed and you plant it, you put it into the earth, and basically you have a combination of what seems like a lifeless seed, together with some earth, together with some water, together with some air, together with some sunlight, and then it starts producing for you all types of fruits or vegetables in all of their different textures and colors and flavors and type of nutritious value and packaging, etc. But the truth is, every single grass, it's an extraordinary process. So one could study this. That's a more pneumistic way of looking at it. You don't just take it for granted. What is going on inside? But then there's a third step, the third level, and that is, there's the pneumius of the Gashmius, and then there's the real pneumius of the Gashmius. There is the science of it, and then there is the chol esav, every blade of grass. We're not just talking about the general world of botany. No, chol esav, every individual blade of grass. Ukamoyken kol nivra v'nivra befrat. When the Medrash says kol esav, it's a marshal also. Every single created being individually. We're not just talking about all insects, or all mammals, or all fish, or all birds, or all humans. That's an inyan klali. Kol esav means every flake of snow, to give it a contemporary touch. Every drop of rain, every drop of slush, every flake of snow has its unique design. So you could look at it as coincidental, as they always say. It's a nice coincidence of how they form, how the flakes of snow form.
Question. So is he saying here that the mimer, which we've had many times in the Alter Rebbe, that the mazel being makam the Esev is just one step higher up in the chain of Ishtalshalos?
Yeah, he's going to say.
But in the past, when we learned this in the Balatanya so many times, didn't he always use that mimer chazal for the concept of memale kol almin, as opposed to Soviet kol almin? He would say the example of memale. Yeah,
he's going to say that here too. You'll see in a moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Kol esav kamaykon kol nivra v'nivra befrat chuli yesh leim mazel meyuchad shu mekoyrei amashpia leichiyus. It has a unique mazel. Mazel here doesn't only mean a mazel as a, you have mazel, you have luck. Tell me what mazel means. Mazel here represents a spiritual source, a mucker hamashpia leichiyus. It has its teacher, its mentor, the divine energy that trickles down, that irrigates, so to speak. Just like a plant needs to be irrigated, it needs its water, and every plant needs the exact amount of water and exact amount of air and sunlight and nourishment in order to be able to do what it has to do. It also has its makar hamashpia lechiyusa. V'shayrish hamazolas u'malachim alyayin. Now this is mazel, what the Medrash is referring to, are the mazolas, which are known as the heavenly constellations, the various formations of stars, which we call mazolas. But the shayrish of mazolas is also malachim alyonim, are what we call malachim alyonim, higher angels. V'gavoya me'al gavoya, the expression in Kayalis, gavoya me'al gavoya shemer aleim. There's gavoya me'al gavoya, each one has something above it. V'shayrish kol malachim u'mashem elikim. And the source of all the malachim are Shem Elikim, v'lachein ekram gamkin b'Shem Elikim, oy b'nei Elikim, v'yavoyu b'nei Elikim l'yisatzev al Hashem and Iyov throughout the Tanakh. V'hem emutzayim, these are all the intermediaries. Shal yadam nimshach ha'er v'achiyus l'chol advarim agashmim shaboilam. Through them, the light and the chiyus is communicated to every single physical item and creature in the world according to its capacity, according to its kelim. Ein l'cha kol esav esav. The spiritual chemistry of it, the spiritual anatomy of it. There is the physical anatomy of it. And then there is the spiritual anatomy of it, which is the entire cause for the physical anatomy and all of the processes that result from this. And the general theme here is based on what we explained, the Hishavos Hagashmi, why they tzimtzum behelam dafka. The Hishavos, the emergence of the physical, is always through the tzimtzum, through the restriction and the concealment of the light. What we mean by tzimtzum and helam is that it gets enclosed in many garments and concealments. As it passes through the various Mamutzayim, which are, so to speak, various channels, each one restricts and obscures the light. It allows it to assume a more physical incarnation. So what do I see in this world? In this world I see a blade of grass. If I would look at the same blade of grass from a higher world with different lenses, I would see spiritual energy. If I would yet look at it from a higher perspective, I would see yet a more abstract, transcendent level of spiritual energy.
So there's no difference between symptom from a grass and a person?
In that sense, right. Based on how physical, how coarse, how brute something is, that's how many intermediaries it needs. Just like you can't compare a teacher who's speaking to somebody who's close to his level to a student who is intellectually or emotionally completely in a different realm. You have to bring it down and bring it down and bring it down and bring it down until it has those oisies that can relate to this. So the oir has to come down and down and down, one lavush, another lavush, another lavush, another garment, another marshal, another tzimtzum, another helam, another curtain, another partition, until the energy could be translated and completely metamorphosized into something that you can detect with your physical eyes. You could see with your and touch through your five physical senses, and it completely doesn't express. It wouldn't even express anything higher. So just like we know that even before we get to the world of Ruchnis, in the world of Gashmis, there's endless layers which you can observe in any physical item. We spoke many times, you look at a cup of coffee, you see a cup and you see coffee, you see water. You come with a microscope, you see a completely different reality. And that's what the microscope can detect. And then there's those layers of reality the microscope can't detect. To be able to break something down to its core and discover its molecular makeup. And every molecule is a combination of many atoms. To discover the anatomy of something from an atomic perspective. And then to take every atom, and every atom could be subdivided into what we call subatomic particles. Every atom is made up of, you have the electrons, the nucleus, etc. And that's all which... It's so tiny, though. When I look at it externally, without any tools and without any knowledge, I don't see any of this. So who's right? Everybody is right. Just depends which glasses you're wearing. There's one pair of glasses that shows you a cup. There's another pair of glasses that shows you a completely different reality. It's not a contradiction. It's not one person is a delusional and one person is living in reality. Each person is detecting reality based on their capacity. Based on their kalim, it's called. Based on their kalim. Based on my glasses, I could see what I could see from it. And what I can't see from it, I can't see from it.
So grass's kalim is like a student who's a lower level of student compared to human beings' kalim, which is a higher level.
Yeah. And we all know, how do animals look at reality? How do people look at reality? If you'll see a sign by a garden, outside the garden of somebody's house, please don't trespass, it's private property. It means something to you. Now put up a sign for the deer. Put up a sign, please don't trespass, I'm trying to cultivate this garden. The deer understands one language, it's called a fence. That's why it bumps in. It's a Kenish game. It bumps in. Now you're speaking. Words don't represent offense. Don't represent. There's a Lashon and Medrash. Suga b'sheishanim. A fence made out of roses. A fence made out of roses. So the Medrash Rabbi, the Medrash says on it in Shashirim that There are moral fences. Moral fences, sheshanim, sheshonim halachas. Physically, it's not a fence here. If somebody's in the bchin of a behemoth, it doesn't mean anything. It's not a fence. If you put up a physical fence, I can't get there. For other people, words are more powerful than fences. If there's a fence, maybe I'll climb it. Words sometimes are more powerful. It's a deeper fence. But I can't expect the deer that love to hang out in the back of my house to appreciate words. They live in their realm. So everyone defines reality based on their kalim, based on what they can detect. And within society itself, the way we see today the physical world is completely different than the way we saw it even 100 years ago, never mind 1,000 years ago, never mind 5,000 years ago. As the mashal gets closer to the nimshal, we unravel literally every day, or certainly every year, unravel new dimensions of even understanding physical reality from a physical lens, from a physical perspective. How? Simply through the expansion of kalim. We didn't have the kalim before to be able to. The word Adam actually, the word Adam means indivisible. The meaning of the word Adam means get to the point that's you can't split it up. I could take this and make it smaller and smaller and smaller, but there comes a point that I can't make it any smaller, at least theoretically. That's called the atom. But today, even the atom is split. That's the story of modern day, of our modern day, that splitting of the atom. The atom actually means it's indivisible, and there was a reason for it. Because they thought there's a certain point, you can't go further. Based on the kalim, how much further are you going to go? You'll make it smaller and smaller. But there's a whole reality that the eyes can't even begin to pick up. That's all within the physical realm. Now when you go to the next realm, to the spiritual realm, here there's a reality that even the kalim that are very sensitive to pick up gashmias can't pick up. And this is the Ruchni. This is what's called the mazel, which comes from the malach, which comes from Shem Elokim. And every single reality that exists in this world essentially is a process of a spiritual evolution from higher to lower to lower. Each madrega that is lower, it assumes another incarnation, another lavush, until in our world where it assumes a lavush gashmi, what we call physicality. But the same world, you could look at the same exact world, put on different glasses, and you see a spiritual universe. And it's the same world. It's not a fake world. It just depends how sensitive you are. Just like we know it in terms of emotions. Two people could be sitting in the same room and experiencing a completely different reality. People who are sensitive to energies, could walk into a place and they come out, oisgewebt, oisgeshept. They can't come back to themselves for 3 days. Why? Because they absorbed everybody's energy, and now they're in therapy for a year, trying to figure out what belongs to me, what belongs to everybody else. Good luck. And other people don't even notice. They walk in like a bull in a china shop. A bull in a china shop. You come in, there's china here, I don't see any china. Sorry, I'm a bull. So in every reality, two people could be sitting in the same room, looking at the same thing, and experiencing something completely different. It's very often happens with a husband and a wife, right? Sitting in the same room with the same people, a completely different experience. This one sees and hears and feels and senses. I'm not going to say who, you'll figure it out. This one feels and senses and experiences, and there's an intuition, what they were knowing, and the other one is not even sure they're there. It's like they were here. So, and it depends what level. The same is true with every single thing in the world. An architect walks into a beautiful mansion. So a regular person walks into a beautiful home. Take a look. Wow, it's so nice. It's so nice. Decorated so nice. Comfortable couches, beautiful kitchen, beautiful dining room. An architect walks in and they immediately start seeing other things that another person wouldn't see. He starts identifying all the chachma that was done. For this, you have to have a chush in architecture. The same is true of a musician when he hears a piece of music. Sees a different layer of it. The same is true with everything. So therefore, the Eilecha Esav Malmata Shein Le Mazel Mamayla, the Mazel is the Koyach HaRuchni. Omnam. Etzem HaYisavus Mishem Havaya. The Havaya Hu HaMahava. But it's not that it comes from Elokim. Everything is from Havaya. Havaya is the Mahava. Yud Ke Vav Ke. Commission is Barla. Rak Sha'oivrai De Shem Elokim. It's channeled through Elikim. B'chdei sheyava ya'or the Havaya lahavos gam metzias yesh. And the reason is because Yudke Vovke Yavaya wants to bring forth also a metzias of a yesh. Not just a metzias that's not a metzias. He wants the yesh. He wants the identity of the world as is. He wants the blade of grass. He wants you. V'yoyer boy Havaya lifi oifen anivrau. Shem Havaya should express itself, should illuminate this nivra according to its oifen. What do you mean according to its oifen? According to its capacity, according to its identity. To bring it into existence and then to give it chiyus. Two things. Lahavoisa is to create it, and lachiyosai is to give it its vitality. It doesn't only exist, it's alive, it has functionality, it has purpose, it has design. Havoisa is the etzem metzias, chayosai is the type of metzias. V'nimtza, da ikir where the shem havai. V'nimshach oira de shem elikim, aydei malachim, u'mazolos, shesharshim v'shem elikim, v'cholam u'mutzayim, atshi yishava v'poel metzias hagashim meir elikim. So it's Shem Havaya that's being channeled and obscured until the Metzias of the Gashmi in this world emerges. If this is the case, what do we understand from this? The Memutza, the intermediary, the channels, are not significant. Because the flow, the energy, the life is not coming from the intermediary. It's just the way it's being channeled. It's the way the light is being channeled. So there's no reason to give significance and chashivus to the intermediary and turn that into the most significant reality. As the Navi says, Ha-yispoir ha-garzin al-ha-choitzev. Will the axe boast itself, start boasting itself, and consider itself superior to the choitzev, to the one who's carving, to the one who's chopping, to the one who's working with the axe? Hagam shechoitzev aydei hagarzin. What's haste? When you finish building the sukkah and people come into the sukkah, do you go over to the hammer and you say, hammer, yeshekoyach, I want to thank you, and you go over to the nails and you thank them? Without a hammer, without nails, this would never happen. Without the axe, the work would never be done. Everybody understands that he needs the axe as a tool. Without the axe, he would never be able to accomplish this. But who is the one doing the work? The Adam, not the Garzan. An axe itself can do absolutely nothing. It's not the axe does 5%, the person does 95%. The person does 100% through the axe. You'll never hear anybody say,
without the axe you can't do what you can do.
Huh?
With it. Without the axe you can't chop the tree down.
right, but the person is doing it. Nobody will ever say, look how beautiful is this structure. This axe has built it. When you see the list of beautiful buildings that were built by architects and contractors, you should also add all the tools that we used. Give them credit too. You never have that or how brilliant, how praiseworthy is this axe which put up such a glorious structure. They glorify the human architect or builder, or contractor, designer.
We're also an intermediary. I mean, why should we take credit?
No, we're talking about the house.
No, but why is the person such a knocker? I mean, he's also an intermediary. If you go to a Garzan's convention, the Garzan would have a lot of nachas from each other. They don't realize they're intermediaries. So we also don't realize we're intermediaries.
Good, looks good. That's the marshal. Very good. Avol shema Garzan ain't a nikra love klal. So we understand in our perspective that you don't put the name of the house, that you don't associate the house with the name of the Garzan, this particular axe. Why? Without the Garzan, nothing would have happened. Mamish nothing. The Adam could sit and dream of houses. But if you don't have the tools, and you don't have the instruments, and you don't have the machshirim, you're not building anything. Because we all have the intelligence to understand the difference between an instrument that is used as an instrument through which the building came into reality, but he's not the builder. What's the distinction? Why him, yeah, him not? Because the axe is not a bal b'chira. There was no choice, initiative involved. He doesn't have the ability and the koyach to decide, I'm going to build. It's a daimim, it's lifeless. The person could create the initiative for whatever reason and then manipulate and utilize the axe according. In fact, forming the axe happened through a person. The very forming of the keli, of a garzin, also had to happen through a person for the same reason. Even though he can't form an axe through himself, he needs the materials that earth provides him. That's true. But taking those materials on their own, there's no initiative, there's no creativity. It is what it is. It's the person whose imagination and choice and creativity and ingenuity could form the weapon, could form the tool, and then actually use it.
So how does artificial intelligence fit into this analysis?
Okay, good.
Sometimes you'll see by 3D printers that they'll say this 3D printer made this thing with this printer. Modern robots and
That's what I'm saying. I guess it has to be the white president to read it.
Surgery, they'll say, was that to do with a certain tool?
If it's a new tool that a person develops, you'll talk about it. They'll talk about certain planes and certain, but that goof is a development of the person. Okay, we'll be mafsik here.
So, I mean, I'm saying the key comes down to the deer. I mean, the deer was running